Hey guys, Zach from Team Crimson here, bringing you my Nova Grappler 2020 post Storm of the Blue Cavalry deck profile. We have new support, Blau's and Victor support, and I thought I would, after testing and consideration, bring you my thoughts on the standard support and show you a deck profile. So obviously, new starter, Blau Younger. Love the art, by the way. We'll go on to grade 3s first. Before I begin, I will say that a lot of people may not agree with this, but after a lot of testing, a lot of consideration, I have decided that this was the best version of the support that I could create, that I could bring to you. But we'll start off with 3 copies of Stern Blau Kluger. Basically what this guy does is he's another superior ride standard for Excel nowadays. Basically he just produces an additional Excel marker and allows multi-attacks and drawing. He does this through Galaxy Blau Kluger, which I play at 3. Basically how it works is you have Galaxy over on a rearguard slot, and you superior ride him after Stern attacks by discarding 2 cards. This makes an additional Excel marker, and then when Galaxy swings, you can counterblast 1, bring out Stern to the Excel marker. Pretty sick, for sure. And then they also have the ability that when the grade 2 Blau Kluger is in Soul, they gain 10k. So very strong, for sure. But this is where it gets a little odd. I am running 2 copies of the VR of the set, Extreme Battler Victor. This card, in his own deck, is pretty decent. He's okay. His skill is, when placed, you look at top 7 for an Extreme Battler, and superior call it to rearguard. And then when he attacks, Counterblast, Soul Blast, stand one of the rearguards on your board. And then if that card stood 2 or more times, then he gets triple drive. So very aggressive, very good card overall. Next, I can bring my grade 2 lineup, because clearly this is not just a Blau or a Victor deck. I have changed up some of the lineup for grade 2s. Grade 2s, I am running 4 copies of Blau Kluger. This card is absolutely essential. Just because 1, it's a Blau, and 2, it gives the grade 3s the ability to have 10k. On addition, when he is placed, you counterblast 1, search top 7 for a Blau, and you can add it to your hand, no discard cost. And then his other skill is rearguard only. If you have a Vanguard with Blau, after he attacks, you push him to Soul Draw. So overall, very good card. Only works with the Blau support, though. Next, we have another new card from the set. I run 4 copies of Cool Hank. Very good card overall. Basically on Vanguard Circle, when he attacks and it hits, you Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. Not bad. He doesn't gain a lot of numbers though, so you will have to usually have a booster unless your opponent just doesn't care. But then also he has that additional skill of once per turn, when he attacks, you can discard a card to stand one of your rearguards. So it's a rearguard option that stands another rearguard. Very good. Usually it's better for the Victor stuff, the Victor support. But obviously it works very well with Blau's as well, allowing more multi-attacks. Next, we run 4 copies of Kick Typhoon. Still a great card. Everybody knows what he does. Gaining 5k when you place him on Vanguard or an additional rearguard circle. So obviously he can beef up one of your units, especially if you have multiple copies. And then on top of that, the once per turn restand ability through a counterblast is just absolutely nuts. Still a staple, still a 4 of for sure. And finally, we run 3 copies of Extreme Battler Dosledge. This is the one that you will likely want to stand more often with Kick and Cool Hank and any of your other restand effects. Obviously, everyone knows that when he stands multiple times through a card effect, the more times he stands, the more abilities he gets. First time he gains 10k, second time he gains a soul charge, third time he gets 10k and Sentinel Restrict. Likely you'll want to do this on your Victor turn because he's more deadly that way. You have more opportunities to restand that way. And he's a search option for Victor's skill as well. Next, on to grade 1s. I play 4 copies of Blau Panzer. This is the main ride target of the deck. You ride him over Blau Younger specifically. Then you search the top 5 cards for a Blau and add it to your hand, no discard cost. And then on Rearguard Circle, very good ability. You discard a trigger unit specifically from your hand, search the deck for a grade 3 Blau, and add it to your hand. Allowing you to thin the deck, add those Blaus, get them out of the deck, multi-attack with them, and also you can use them as discard options for the Superior Ride. Overall, very good card. Next, we have 4 copies of Extreme Battler Arashid. This is Nova Grappler's new grade 3 searcher that everyone got. His ability is pretty standard for Nova Grappler. Basically, whenever your rearguard stands by a card ability, he gains 5k, and then the obvious copy and paste when placed search deck for a grade 3. And then finally, we run 2 copies of Extreme Battler Ganbarugun. This is another Victor-only support card. Very good, though. Its skill is once returned when he attacks. If you have a Vanguard with Victor, you Soul Blast 1, stand one of your other rear guards, and then he gains 5k. So it allows him to hit for 13k, and obviously you can use him as a booster prior to the Victor turn, whatever discard option. He is searchable through Victor. But overall, he's there just as an additional restand option that does not require discard or counterblast. Finally, we get to triggers. I am running 4 copies of Red Lightning, 2 copies of Ord Anchor, then 4 copies of Twin Blader, 2 copies of Memory Bot Airedale, and 4 heals. Overall, I chose the 6 draw, 6 crit option because Nova Grappler's inherent Excel issue is that they absolutely need to plus, they absolutely need to have combo pieces, and that allows them to multi-attack. On top of that, with Stern Blaukluger's cost of having to discard 2, the Blaus needing to have Blaukluger in Soul, and needing Galaxy Blaukluger on Rearguard Circle, it absolutely is essential to see those pieces. The more drive checks you have, the more options you will see of these draw triggers. You'll draw more cards. You can discard cards for skills without feeling like your hand is diminishing. So I went that way. I would also recommend, if you wanted to play this hybrid, that you can do 7 crit, 5 draw. That's probably fine. I chose 6 just because it's better to see more cards, in my opinion. But basically, that is the deck. Before I cut out, though, I will explain why I chose the hybrid, the non-existent hybrid. I have tested both Blaus and Victor individually on in their own decks, and each have issues that I believe were too significant to have them as their own. In Japan and the US, clearly Blaus do very well compared to Victor. Both decks are doing decent. They're not meta, but they're doing relatively well within like maybe top 10. But the issue that I find with the Blau deck is this card. It is absolutely essential. You absolutely have to see it. If you do not, you will die. There are many search options, and a lot of people may not have the issue that I had, but my issue with this deck was no matter how many cards I drew, no matter what build I had, no matter what lineup it was, there would be games where I would not see this card, and then I would just die, because you have no way of pushing him to soul after the battle phase. If you don't draw him until you're, say, 2 drive checks on Stern or your single drive check on Galaxy, there is still no way for you to get him in there until the next turn, which is too late sometimes. Obviously, the second problem is Galaxy. There are more ways to search for him, so that's not much of an issue, but it's the same problem. He has to be on rearguard circle. You can't just discard him like, prime example is like Yasui. Murakumo can just discard him and superior ride from drop zone. This deck cannot do that. It has to be on rearguard circle, which also means you want to make use out of him and attack with him, being, you know, the 22 beat stick that he is. Another issue is the, I guess, multi-attacks with this deck. The way that it has to attack, specifically with kick. After the superior ride, the front row opens an additional rearguard circle, and Galaxy also moves on to the vanguard circle. Galaxy can bring out Stern from the soul, but you still have that empty slot. So kick skill cannot go off after the superior ride. So that leaves a weird position where the deck almost doesn't feel like it's playing like Nova Grappler. You have to swing with a 22, swing with a 14, swing with the 22 again, open up and superior ride, and then you'll have maybe 3 more attacks, including Vanguard. But it feels, in simplest terms, very budgety. And that's exactly what Blaus are. But when the deck feels budgety, that's when I don't want to play it. So then the option of Victor came into my mind, but Victor's problems as its own deck is relatively similar. It does not operate to max efficiency. By saying that, what I mean is that there is no plussing in that deck. There is only multi-attacking, but it's low numbers. They almost don't create numbers whatsoever. And so it leads you to almost rely too much on your triple drive in order to beat them. You absolutely need to see criticals and stack them onto the Dogen Titan, your restand. But if you don't see cards like Unknown Adamski or the Brutal Jacks, or if you top 7 search and you don't see this card, you flop and your game is over. I put this deck together because after much testing, after some error and rebuilding, I find this to be insanely consistent with the Blau engine involved in this deck. The Blaus thin the deck, they get all those Blaus out of hand, they plus, and then it allows you to see more cards with those draw triggers and restands and multi-attacks and vanguard attacks, letting you see into Victor, and then as soon as you ride him, the game is pretty much over. Because you have up to 3 rearguard slots, additional rearguard slots, and that allows more restands of Dose Sledge, which is critical again. You thin the deck, so that means likely there are less non-trigger units in the deck, leaving more trigger units possibly in the deck, so your triple drive doesn't flop nearly as much, and you at least see a critical usually. And then the sheer multi-attack of Victor is just too powerful that late in the game. And I think that this is a very good build. Although if any of you would like to see just the Victor deck or just the Blau deck, just like this video and leave a comment, and I will likely do that for you guys in the near future. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.